There's a quiet kind of poverty that no one talks about. Not the kind where your wallet's empty, but the kind where your mind is. See, being broke isn't the real problem. Being comfortable with being broke, that's where the real danger lies. I've met people who had nothing in their bank account, yet they still smiled, still convinced themselves they were fine. But here's the truth. You cannot change what you tolerate. If you've grown numb to financial struggle, if you've accepted it as just how life is, then you've unknowingly built a prison around yourself, one made of excuses, false comforts, and quiet despair. Let me be direct. You were not born to live paycheck to paycheck. You were not created to just survive bills, bounce from debt to debt, and pray that someday things will magically get better. That kind of thinking is what keeps most people trapped in a cycle they never escape. It's the loop of poverty, not just economic, but emotional, mental, and spiritual. But there's good news. You can break it. You can rise. You can shift your trajectory. And it doesn't require winning the lottery or being born into money or waiting on some miracle. It requires a decision to stop doing what broke people do, a decision to start thinking like someone who deserves more, a decision to rise above the noise of instant gratification and build something that lasts. Because here's the truth that changed my life. Wealth is not something you chase. It's something you attract. By becoming someone worth attracting it to, and to become that version of yourself, you have to first identify what's been keeping you stuck. What habits, mindsets, and silent choices have been quietly stealing your future. That's what we're here to do. In this journey, I'll walk you through 7 hidden traps. The exact things that keep people broke, even when they're hardworking, good-intentioned, and full of potential. These aren't just theories. These are the patterns that silently crush dreams. And then, I'll show you how to flip the script. Not through hype, not through fantasy, but through clarity, discipline, and the kind of self-honesty most people run from. You ready? Let's break the cycle. Let's start building the future you actually deserve. Let's move from poverty to prosperity. 2. You worked hard this week. You put in the hours. You dealt with the stress, the pressure, the noise. And now the paycheck hits your account. And what's the first thing that voice in your head whispers? You deserve this. That phrase has ruined more bank accounts than bad investments ever did. You deserve this. So you go out. You treat yourself. You buy the new gadget, the dinner out, the spontaneous trip, the subscription you won't use. You tell yourself it's just a little thing, just this one time, just something small to celebrate. And just like that, your money is gone before your mind has caught up. Let me be real with you. Emotional spending is financial sabotage dressed up as self-care. And it doesn't matter how much you earn. If your spending outpaces your saving, you are sprinting straight towards stress, anxiety, and stagnation. Here's what the wealthy do differently. They don't spend what's left after saving. They save first, then decide what to spend. That one small reversal changes everything. But broke thinking does the opposite. It rewards survival. I made it through the week. I earned this. And that's how people stay broke. Not because they're lazy, but because they keep rewarding themselves before they've actually built anything to show for it. You see, saving isn't just about money. It's a character move. It says, I care about my future more than I care about this fleeting pleasure. It says, I have the discipline to delay now, so I can win later. Every dollar you save is a vote cast for your future self. Every impulse you deny is a step toward freedom. Do you want to know the real difference between the emotional spender and the disciplined saver? The spender wakes up to full shopping bags and an empty soul. The saver wakes up to peace. the kind of peace that can't be bought because it was earned. When you save, you're not being cheap. You're not missing out. You're investing in your own dignity. So here's a challenge. Stop asking, can I afford this? Start asking, does this align with my goal? Stop justifying the treat. Start respecting the vision. It doesn't matter if you're saving $5 a week or 500. What matters is that you start and that you stay consistent. Because the truth is, emotional spenders end up working for the savers. They rent from them. They owe them. They build the very systems that savers own. Same paycheck, different mindset, different future. You look successful. The car's clean. The clothes are sharp. The Instagram stories? On point. People might even say, you're doing well. But behind closed doors, you're suffocating under credit card debt. You dread the bills. You're not sleeping well. Because the lifestyle you're selling isn't the life you're living. That's not success. That's performance. And the cost of performing is high. It costs you peace. It costs you flexibility. It costs you your future. Too many people are drowning quietly because they're trying to look rich, instead of becoming wealthy. Let's be clear. Living above your means doesn't make you ambitious. It makes you vulnerable. It's a trap disguised as reward. You buy the car to prove you've arrived. You rent the apartment that drains you because it feels good. You swipe the card not because you need it, but because you're tired of saying no to yourself. But let me ask you something. Is your comfort worth your freedom? Is your image worth your stress? Because that's the real trade happening behind the scenes. You're trading long-term peace for short-term validation. You're financing your ego with your future. The wealthy don't do that. They don't feel the need to show you they're winning, because they actually are. Their wealth is quiet. Their cars are paid off. Their savings accounts are growing. They sleep at night, not worrying about appearances, because they built something real. They understand a truth most people ignore. Wealth loves margin. It grows in the space between what you earn and what you spend. Living beneath your means isn't deprivation. It's strategy. It's the art of saying, just because I can doesn't mean I should. It's knowing when to delay, not because you're broke, but because you're building. Let others chase the next shiny thing. You chase freedom. Let others buy liabilities to look rich. You buy assets to be rich. I'm not telling you to live like a monk. Life is meant to be enjoyed. But there's a difference between wise enjoyment and reckless indulgence. One adds value to your life. The other eats it alive. So the next time you're tempted to impress the world, pause. Ask yourself, am I making a choice or escaping something? Am I building the life I want or just borrowing it for a few fleeting moments? Because here's the truth. Real wealth doesn't scream. It whispers. And if you learn to live beneath your means today, one day you'll live beyond your dreams, without fear, without debt, without needing to prove anything to anyone. Imagine this. You get into your car, start the engine, pull out onto the freeway, and tie a blindfold around your eyes. Sounds insane, right? You'd never drive like that. But here's the thing. That's exactly how most people live financially. They earn money, they spend it, they swipe the card, Venmo the friend, order the meal, subscribe to the app, and they do it all without ever checking where the money's actually going. Then they wonder why they feel stuck. Why there's always more month than money. Why no matter how much they make, it never seems to be enough. Let me tell you something no one ever taught me in school. You cannot control what you do not track. If you don't know your numbers, you're not in control. You're guessing. You're reacting. You're vulnerable. And here's the real problem. Money doesn't respond to your feelings. It responds to your awareness. It doesn't care if you think you're doing okay or feel like you've got enough. You either know the truth or you don't. That truth lives in the numbers, your income, your expenses, your debt, your net worth. It's not about judgment, it's about clarity. Because clarity is power. When I first started tracking my money, it was painful. I thought I was doing fine, until I saw how much I was spending on takeout, impulse buys, subscriptions I forgot existed. It wasn't one big mistake that was sinking me. It was 1,000 small leaks I never noticed. But when I saw it, I could change it. That's the power of tracking. It turns shame into strategy. Wealthy people understand this. They treat money like a business. They track every dollar, not because they're obsessed, but because they're focused. They have financial dashboards, budgets, net worth spreadsheets, not because they're control freaks, but because they're builders. If your life is your most important business, why are you running it without books? Tracking isn't restriction, it's freedom. It shows you where your money is leaking. It helps you make decisions faster. It gives you the power to say no to what doesn't serve your future and yes to what does. So here's your challenge. Start tracking everything. Yes, everything. Not forever, but until you see the full picture. Because until then, you're not managing money. It's managing you. Get a notebook, a spreadsheet, an app, anything. Write down what comes in, what goes out. Look at the truth. Face it. Because the person who knows exactly where their money goes, that's the person who knows exactly where their life is headed. We live in a world that worships now. Fast food, fast money, fast fame. We've been conditioned to believe that if it doesn't happen fast, it's not working. But let me ask you something real. What in life that's truly valuable comes instantly? Strong relationships, built over years, a powerful body, earned with discipline, generational wealth, forged with long-term thinking and sacrifice. And yet, when it comes to money, most people think like sprinters in a marathon. They want the quick win, the big break, the sudden breakthrough. They're always chasing something immediate, the next raise, the next side hustle, the next trend that promises to change their life overnight. But that mindset, it's poison, because anything built fast often falls faster. The wealthy, they don't think in weekends. They think in decades. They plant seeds today that won't bloom for years. They build habits that won't pay off this month, but might change their children's future. When I was broke, I thought like a survivor. Every decision was about getting through the week. Every goal ended at the end of the month. I was patching leaks, but never building a boat. That's what short-term thinking does. It keeps you alive, but never allows you to thrive. You see, fast money fades. Lottery winners prove it. Overnight influencers prove it. People who get rich quick often end up broke again because the money changed, but the mindset didn't. If your mind is wired for survival, then even when abundance arrives, you'll sabotage it, because deep down, you were never taught how to think long, to delay, to endure, to invest with patience. I met a man once who spent 15 years building a business. For the first decade, he barely broke even. People laughed, told him to give up, said he was wasting his time, but he had vision. He had long game eyes, and by year 16, he was a multimillionaire. Most people can't wait 16 months. He waited 16 years. That's the difference between rich habits and broke habits. Broke habits demand a reward today. Rich habits are willing to wait for something bigger, something permanent. So ask yourself, are you chasing comfort today at the cost of freedom tomorrow? Are you measuring success by what's showing up this week, or what you're steadily building for the next 10 years? Your breakthrough is not behind another shortcut. It's behind consistency, behind discipline, behind the boring, unsexy daily habits that no one applauds, but the universe rewards. Think long, build slow, grow strong, because the one who thinks in decades eventually lives the life others only dream of. There's a silent force shaping your life right now, and you might not even see it. It's not your job, it's not your degree, it's not your upbringing, it's your circle. The people you spend time with are either sharpening your vision or slowly dulling it until you forget you had one. Let's be honest, you can have the greatest work ethic, the biggest dreams, the clearest plan, but if you surround yourself with people who think small, complain often, or settle for mediocrity, you'll start doing the same. Not because you want to, but because energy is contagious, mindsets are contagious, mediocrity is contagious. Early in my life, I didn't get this. I hung around people who were funny, familiar, and comfortable, but their conversations were full of limitations. How the system is rigged, how nothing ever works out, how rich people got lucky. Every time I left those rooms, my goals felt a little less possible. My fire dimmed just a little more, and I started to believe that maybe this is just the way life is. Then one day, I met someone who challenged everything. He didn't talk about problems. He talked about possibilities. He didn't gossip. He set goals. He didn't complain. He created. That man changed my life, not by teaching me some trick, but by showing me what it looks like to think different. From that point on, I became intentional about my circle. I sought out mentors, not sympathizers, people who had walked where I wanted to go, people who forced me to stretch, not shrink. Because here's the truth, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your circle. So if your friends mock your ambitions, if they tell you you've changed because you're trying to grow, if their version of fun is getting drunk and spending money, they don't have to impress people they don't like. You have a decision to make. This doesn't mean cutting off people you care about. It means choosing your influence with intention. Get around winners. Read books by people who've built empires. Join communities where growth is the standard, not the exception. Because wealthy minds don't fear challenge, they chase it. They seek accountability. They ask tough questions. They push each other toward greatness. But broke minds, they fear change. They mock ambition. They label effort as trying too hard. Don't let small minds shrink your big dreams. Don't mistake comfort for loyalty. Your future isn't just shaped by your habits, it's shaped by your environment. So make sure that environment reflects the life you're building, not the one you're trying to escape. Because in the end, your circle is either a ladder or a cage. You wake up early, you go to sleep late, your calendar is full, your phone won't stop ringing, and still, you feel stuck. You're exhausted, but not fulfilled. Busy, but not better off. Here's the hard truth. Busyness is not the same as progress. You can spend your whole life hustling and still be broke. Because motion doesn't always mean momentum. Most people confuse being in motion with moving forward. They fill their days with endless tasks, meetings, errands, distractions. So much noise, but no direction. You see, broke minds wear busyness like a badge. They say, I'm grinding, but what they're really doing is running in circles, chasing urgency instead of importance, responding to everything, but building nothing. I used to be that guy, always rushing, always saying yes, always overwhelmed. But despite all the effort, I never got ahead, because I wasn't doing the work that actually moved the needle. I was just doing. It wasn't until I stopped and asked myself one simple question, what am I really trying to build? That everything shifted. Wealthy minds are different. They don't just stay busy, They stay focused. They operate with intention. They guard their time. They work smarter, not louder. Here's their secret. They don't say yes to everything. They say yes only to what builds. You'll rarely catch a wealthy person spending hours scrolling, gossiping, or getting pulled into tasks that don't align with their vision. They understand the 80-20 rule. 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions, so they double down on those actions and eliminate the rest. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. So let me ask you, are you tracking your impact or just your hours? Do you know what actually creates income, growth, or opportunity in your life? Or are you just checking off boxes to feel like you're doing something? Because true productivity is quiet. It doesn't always look impressive. It's often behind closed doors, a focused hour of strategy, a deep conversation, a bold decision. It's saying no to the noise, so you can say yes to the mission. Here's your challenge. Every morning, ask yourself, what is the one thing I can do today that will create the biggest financial or life impact? Then do that first, not the easy thing, not the urgent thing, the impactful thing. Repeat it daily, and you'll stop spinning in circles and start building with power, because success isn't built by the busiest person in the room. It's built by the most intentional one. If your entire life is built on one paycheck, you're not free. You're fragile. Let me be blunt. Depending on a single income in today's world is financial suicide. It's like building your house on one pillar. It might stand for a while, but the moment life hits, a layoff, a downturn, an illness, everything you've built comes crashing down. And the worst part? You never saw it coming, because you told yourself, I have a good job. Until the day that job is gone. Here's what wealthy people know. Security doesn't come from a job. It comes from options. And options are created through multiple streams of income. Not just income you work for, but income that works for you. Passive income, investment income, business income, money that flows even when you sleep. Most people trade time for money. That's fine at first, but it's a trap if you stop there. Because time is limited, and once it runs out, so does your income. Unless you've built something that lasts beyond your effort. When I started out, I made this mistake too. I put all my faith in one job. I worked overtime, stayed loyal, and still, the company downsized. I was just a number in a system, disposable, replaceable. That moment woke me up. I realized I needed to stop surviving off one stream and start building a financial river. That meant learning, starting small, building side hustles, investing, creating things once, and letting them pay me over time. It wasn't easy, but let me tell you what it gave me. Power. The power to say no. The power to walk away from toxic environments. The power to breathe and not panic every time something unexpected happened. Because when you have multiple streams of income, you no longer fear losing one. You have backup. You have leverage. You have breathing room. And that's what wealth is really about. Freedom from fear. So here's your wake-up call. Don't wait until your one stream dries up to start digging another. Build now, while you still can, even if it's small, even if it's slow. Start the online store, write the ebook, learn the skill, invest the money, buy the asset. Create income streams that serve you, not just consume you. Because at the end of the day, your job is not your identity. It's a tool, and no smart builder ever builds with one tool alone. The goal isn't just to earn more, it's to earn smarter. So diversify, multiply, expand. Because real wealth doesn't rest on one source, it thrives on many. So now you've seen it. Not just the symptoms, but the root. The 7 silent traps that keep people broke. Not because they're lazy, not because they're unlucky, but because no one ever taught them how to think differently. And now you know. You know that emotional spending is a thief dressed in pleasure, that living above your means is a trap disguised as success, that not tracking your money is like driving blind at full speed, that short-term thinking feels good today and costs everything tomorrow, that the wrong people will talk you out of your destiny, that being busy without focus is just noise, and that putting your whole future on one paycheck is handing your power away. But here's the good news. You don't have to stay stuck. You're not a tree. You're not chained. You're one decision away from a different direction. You're one habit away from momentum. You're one mindset shift away from everything changing. This isn't about being perfect. It's about becoming intentional. It's about deciding, right now, that your money serves your vision, not your emotions. That your future will not be an accident. It will be a masterpiece. Built by your discipline, fueled by your growth, protected by your awareness, multiplied by your consistency. So what do you do next? Write your goals down. Make them clear, measurable, time-bound. Track your spending. Every dollar, every leak, every pattern. Cut back where you've been bleeding and redirect that flow toward your dreams. Learn every single day. Build skills. Expand your value. Surround yourself with winners, people who remind you that your potential is real. Create new streams. Don't just work hard. Build smart. And most of all, start today. Not next year. Not when it's convenient. Not when everything feels ready. Because here's the truth most people ignore. Time is your most expensive currency. And every day you delay is compound growth lost, freedom delayed, and dreams postponed. You don't need to be rich to start, but you do need to start to get rich, in mindset, in discipline, in results. So step forward, build your legacy, not for the applause, not for the likes, but because your future self is already waiting, and he's counting on you to show up.